Next up in lesson 12 is going to be using an adjustment layer. So go ahead and open up O3 multiple effects, and you can see we have a lot of clips here. The adjustment layer is going to be applied to our V2 video track when we create it, and this here adjustment layer is basically what it sounds like. We can put effects on there or make other adjustments over top a multitude of clips and have them all have that very similar look and all those effects applied in one place. Much easier to change than going from clip to clip to clip to make those changes up here in the effects panel. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't work as well, depending on how drastic of changes all your video clips are. But the book wants us to be able to know how to do it. You'll want to come over to your project panel, and if you cannot see everything, expand this out so you can see the new item button. And we are going to click new item, and then we're going to choose adjustment layer. Once that happens, you'll get this dialog box, and it is going to be mimicking our current timeline. So our footage is 720, height 405, frame rate. So this is all based on this. So we're just going to go ahead and say okay. So be mindful when you make your adjustment layer. So if you have SD footage open and you're trying to put it on top of HD footage in a different sequence, it's going to come up as a smaller square in your box. So that is one thing to think about when you see this panel. So I'll say okay, and once I do, notice that it has appeared over here in the project panel, and it's called adjustment layer. You can give it a very specific name. If you're going to be using a multitude of them, they can be renamed. Next up, it wants us to drag it onto our timeline, onto our video 2 track, and then expand this out so it covers top all of our clips. So right now you can see we have it on there. It's not doing anything to our footage, and that's because we haven't applied anything yet. Next up, it wants us to add a blur effect called Gaussian blur. So I typed in blur, I come down here, I find Gaussian blur, I apply it to the adjustment layer. I now have controls that come up over here. The book is wanting us to add, actually it says to go to 27 for starters, so we can have a close-up to see this effect applied most effectively. And depending on which effect you're using, there may be a certain clip you want to use as your benchmark point. The book is suggesting this here nice close-up for this one. After doing that, it wants us to change our blurry value to 25. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in right here. And it's made it pretty blurry. One of the other things that you be mindful of using a blur effect, you see a button right here that says repeat edge pixels. This is important because it's going to apply the effect evenly. So right now you can kind of see that it has like this soft edge change because it ran out of pixels to calculate there. By clicking this here box, it's now done math to run over the edges, so it's interpolated those edges to give us the full effect across the whole piece of footage. If I come down here and use the eyeball to toggle the track output, you can now see what it was before and what it is now with that applied. One of the things that you can also do with an adjustment layer, besides just applying the effects, you can also have control over the blend modes. And the book is going to have us use this blurriness effect, but it's too strong in the adjustment layer by itself. Using the blend mode, we can create more of a film look, and it's going to mix the two layers together based on their brightness and color values. And you'll learn more about that in lesson 14. So don't stress too much if you don't fully understand this step. Okay, so we're going to come up to the disclosed triangle by opacity. So if it was not already open, click it open, and notice right here it says blend mode, and currently it says normal. And make sure your adjustment layer is still highlighted while doing this. And I'm going to come and choose soft light from the drop down menu. So you have a whole bunch of different ones. You can explore those and see how they all affect the footage differently. This is also something that the layers in Photoshop has. So if you do anything in Photoshop, your layers panel over on the right side has this, so you can get different effects with that as well. So choose soft light. I know I'm off topic. All right, And then it also wants us to choose our opacity to be 75%. So come and choose that at 75. So it's kind of blended everything together. And we can now come back down here to our output setting and see the difference it has added. So it's actually brightened up the colors a little bit. And it's definitely giving us more of that film look that they were talking about.